Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Economic Development, Regeneration and Tourism Committee. Could I ask everyone to note the fire safety instruction? There are no planned fire drills for tonight. If, however, the alarm does go off, please use the fire exit through the main doors of the hall or the fire exit in the storeroom adjacent to the stage. The fire assembly point is the island in front of the main entrance to the building. Please do not delay your evacuation to collect any belongings. Please do not return to the building until given permission to do so by council staff. I'd also like to remind you to please switch off your mobile phones or turn them to silent. Please note that the meeting will be live streamed where the proceedings are capable of repeated viewing. Please ensure your microphone is switched on when speaking and you speak clearly into the microphone. Once finished speaking, can you please switch off your microphone to avoid feedback noise? That's my problem, I always forget. If you're seated in the public area of the chamber, which I can't see anyone today, it is likely that your image will be captured by the recording cameras and result in your image being part of the broadcast. If members are for any reason not present for the whole debate on an item, you should consider whether it would be appropriate for you to vote on that item. May I remind members to declare any interest and the nature of the interest at the beginning of an agenda item, and that on declaring a pecuniary interest, you are required to leave the room when that item of business is considered. So I'll move on to the agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence and substitute members. Apologies for absence, I have Councillor Mrs Danielle Belton, and I have substitute member Councillor Phil Shaw for Councillor Mrs Danielle Belton. Non-members in attendance, I can see no one in attendance apart from members of the committee and officers. At this point, are there any declarations of interest anyone needs to declare? Right, there's no declarations of interest. So we move on to item 5, which is the public question on notice. Members, we have received one public question on notice from Ms Jill Waite. Ms Waite has advised our Democratic Services team that she is no longer able to attend the meeting to present her question. As chairman, I will read out Ms Waite's question on her behalf. Thank you for the detailed and transparent report from the Director of Assets and for the positive news that the Mill Arts and Events Centre is gaining more bookings and running costs are being reduced. I trust the public consultation and market events will highlight the importance of this fantastic venue for our district's visitor economy. The office report confirmed that the capital programme was aligned with the stock condition survey produced in 2022. It is clear to the sheer number of essential works required that the Mill Arts and Events Centre has failed to be maintained for many years prior to this survey. It is also very concerning to now discover that the roof is leaking and isn't strong enough to support solar panels. How will the roof requirements be completed this year if there is no funding for it in the current capital programme? My response is as follows, and we will forward this by email to Ms Waite. The capital programme that was agreed by full council on 20th of February 2022 allocated £845,000 to the Mill Hall. Therefore, there is a sufficient budget allocated within the existing capital programme for the essential works to be programmed and delivered. On the 7th of September 2023, full council resolved to allocate a budget of £10,000 for a structural roof survey. As highlighted in the report, the survey has been completed and has identified that the roof is beyond its economic life and would require enforcement to support installation of solar panels. Repairs have been carried out on the roof to rectify the identified leaks, and officers are currently scoping the roof replacement works in order to procure a contractor. Roof works are scheduled to commence in March-April 2025 as the works are weather dependent and are subject to procuring a contractor. Officers are optimising the most convenient time to prevent the littlest disruption to scheduled bookings and minimising the impact of the regular bookings and events. If the works are to be completed in the new financial year, it would be expected that capital budget would be aligned to fund these works. That is the end of the answer. Thank you. Next item is item 6, which is an update from the chairman. So I have a number of items to update the committee on. The Culture, Visitor and Economy Strategy Update. Following a competitive tender process, the Council has commissioned Blue Sail, a tourism and destination consultancy, to develop a cultural and visitor economy strategy. The project is being funded through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, UK SPF. The Emerging Culture and Visitor Economy Strategy aims to develop a distinct district-wide culture and visitor offer that directly supports local economic growth and the Council's wider ambitions. As part of the commissioning of the strategy, meaningful market research in respect of two large cultural assets in Council's ownership, the Mill Arts and Events Centre and the Freight House, will be undertaken. Blue Sail's methodology includes the consultation through one-to-one interviews with key stakeholders, an interactive workshop with a wider group of stakeholders from across the visitor economy sector, and a survey, online and hard copy, aimed at residents and businesses to share their views. An update on the number of survey responses to date will be presented after I finish reading this bit. A member briefing is being scheduled for the end of September to bring back the initial findings from the consultation. I think that at the moment has been penciled in for the 25th of September. So that'll be an all-member briefing, so please keep your eyes open for that. A draft strategy and evidence base will be delivered in late October and brought to the relevant committees for approval, which will be this committee. Is Laurie able to update us on the current status of the numbers for the consultation?
Thank you, Chair. I can confirm that as of this afternoon, we've had over 830 responses to the survey, both online responses and hard copy responses returned on paper.
Okay, thank you. At this point, if anyone's got any questions on that, very briefly, I'm happy to take a few questions on that part now before we move on to the rest of my report. So I don't want to go into loads of questions on it, but yeah, Councillor Webb, then Councillor Shaw.
Can I just check the geographical breakdown of where the survey responses have come from, please? Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Webb. I can confirm that the responses are coming from across the district, about over 50% coming from, if you want to call it, the west of the district, and the remaining from the east of the district. So I would say that so far the responses seem to reflect the population distribution across the district.
Councillor Shaw.
Thank you, John. How was the consultation sent out? Because I've had a number of people who've said they haven't seen anything about it.
Sorry, how was it?
How was it sent out? How was, was it just by email or on the web? Because especially people out in Pagglesham and places like that are saying that they haven't seen anything.
Okay, one moment.
Thank you, Councillor Shaw. We have promoted the survey online through all of our social media channels, but we're aware that not everybody is looking online all the time. So we have emailed out posters with QR codes to all of the parish clerks so that they could put those posters up in the notice boards. If they've not been put up in Pagglesham or any other parish, please let us know. We've still got another week to go, and we can make sure that the clerks get a fresh set of those posters. We've also been advertising in the Echo. We've been taking out half-page ads in the Echo.
Thank you.
And we also have copies in all of the Essex Libraries branches, all 5 across the district. And we also have copies available at Clements Hall Leisure Centre, at the Rayleigh Leisure Centre, here at the Mill, and also at our South Street offices.
All I would say is if they don't know where to get them, they haven't seen anything to say where to get them, we can put them out anywhere, but unless they know they're there, they're not going to be able to pick anything up.
Yeah, I mean, the point is taken on that, but we have also given a pack to all councillors, so please feel free, if you need more information, please come to me, or come to one of our officers and we can supply you with more information if you want to take those to these residents that you know of who haven't received anything. Thank you. Tourism update. Gemma Haynes has been appointed as the Council's Tourism Officer following a competitive interview process. This post is being funded through the UK SPF and is fixed term ending on 31st of March 2025. Gemma is currently supporting the consultation around the cultural and visitor economy strategy and will be delivering on the strategy action plan. Okay. Parking update. Since the commencement of the financial year, a number of items have been progressed in the car parks around the district and also in progressing the parking task and finish group. Details of these are highlighted. Now, improvement enhancement works to car parks. During the financial year, both parking services and asset management have been undertaking a number of works to the car parks around the district. These include, in Webster's Way, relining of the entire car park, including directional decals and electric charging bay decals, removal of tree causing damage to road surface and presenting trip hazard on parking surface, subsequent resurfacing works to remove the trip hazard across 19 bays, cutting back of overgrown vegetation in conjunction with the grounds maintenance team, Bellingham Lane car park, pothole repairs, relining of the entire car park including directional decals, Back Lane car park, cutting back of overgrown vegetation in conjunction with the grounds maintenance team, South End Road car park, lamp column repairs and upgrades of lamp heads, the Civic Suite, relining of the entire car park including directional decals. I'll now move on to the parking task and finish group. In addition to the physical works that have been completed, progress has also been made with the parking task and finish group, with the first meeting of the group taking place on 31st of July. A full discussion took place regarding issues affecting both the car parks and delivery of the parking service as a whole, and key matters were highlighted for further discussion and investigation, including fees and charges, impact on traders and grounds maintenance standards in the car parks. Following a discussion around fees and charges and the importance these play in both providing significant income to the council, but also supporting the district's high streets, it was agreed that an officer reach out to representatives of the appropriate Chamber of Trade with a view to engage with both the Chamber and local traders around the impact of parking fees and charges. An officer is due to attend the Rayleigh Chamber of Trade on the 9th of September as an initial outreach. That did take place, by the way. A further item was then discussed in more detail at the meeting, was the issue and impact of inappropriate parking at Fairview Car Park. Following the debate on the matter, officers were instructed to review the line marking on site and progress with having these reinstated to maximise parking capacity. Sorry, I turned over the wrong page there. Can't quite remember it all. Also requested that the officers bring a report before the Economic Development, Regeneration and Tourism Committee to consider placing a parking order on the site to enable the parking to be regularised and for enforcement action to be taken. That item is on tonight's agenda. Okay. I'll move on to item 7. Oh, sorry, one question.
Sorry, Chairman. Regarding the report on the parking with the chambers, did you say it did or it didn't take place?
The officer attended on the 9th of September, is what I'm saying.
I was also at that meeting and yeah, it was discussed. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, okay. We can move on to item 7. Mill Hall Arts and Events Centre update. So just get into the right pool. If you hold one moment. Members, we will now consider the report of the Director of Assets and Investments, updating the committee on the performance of the asset and to detail the timeline in the evidence gathering for members to make a formal decision on the asset's future operating model. Ms Barnes, do you have anything to add to the report?
Thank you, Jen. Nothing further to add. I think the report's quite extensive, but happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions from members or any comments? Councillor Shaw.
Thank you, Chairman. I've got 2 or 3 questions. On page 7.5, 2.20, it's saying that we're paying the cost of the event 1,850, and the council's waiving the hall hire fees. Can we have a costing of how much the fees would have? Because obviously the council are losing that. So I would like to know how much that is. And also 2/21/22, we're paying £950 per month for, I take it is the advertising of these events on October. So that's a figure of £5,200. I just want to know the total breakdown, as I say, how much the all hire fees would be, and who's actually getting the costings, or who's getting the ticket money for these events. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is that something Ms Barnes can do?
So, yep, the hall hire fee that we have waived totals approximately £2,500 for the 6 events. £2,500 for the 6 events. The £1,850 is what we are paying for Colchester events to put on these events. So with their staff, but also following that, they will look at the performance of them events and provide us with an independent review, an independent report on options of what was successful, was not successful as well. So that is what that cost is attributable to. The marketing that we are paying for is not solely just for them 6 events, it's for all the events that are in this facility, as well as trying to look at utilising how we market the meeting room space as well to attract further income as well. So it's not just for the 6 events, the marketing is for the venue in its entirety for the next 6 months.
Sorry, who's getting the revenue for the events, please?
Yep, so the ticket sales will go to Colchester Events.
So in fact, this is going to cost us 5, 7, 8, 9, about 9,500, and we're getting nothing out of it.
Just to clarify a point, if we would have got the ticket sales, if the event company was paying the higher fee, we would have only got the £2,500. The ticket sales would have still gone to the event, the promoter hosting that event.
I agree there, but as I'm saying, so we're getting nothing out of it.
This is not something for us to make money from. This is to try and find out what works best in this venue. So yes, your statement can be construed as being correct. We're not getting anything out of it. We will get some proportion of the bar sales, hopefully, because we have 20% of the bar sales or the bar profit. But this isn't about us making money. It's trying to find out what works best for the venue. Thank you. Councillor Linden.
So with the 2 figures of 2.5 and 1.85 combined, that is what we're actually effectively paying for the consultation for that period of when those events are held. So instead of it, we're not earning, we're actually paying circa 5k to that event company to do a consultation for us on our behalf. Thank you.
I think yes is the answer to that one. Any other questions or comments? So there are no other questions. Members, I would like to move a motion that recommendation 1 at page 7.1 of the report be approved. The recommendation states, there. That the So do I have a seconder for that recommendation? Councillor Richard Linden seconds that. We will now vote on the recommendation by show of hands. The recommendation is that the timeline for producing a recommended operating model for the Mill Hall Arts and Event Centre is agreed as per Appendix 1. All those in favour? Yep. All those against? Any abstentions? Thank you. That is carried. Thank you. Well done. We are now moving on to item 8, Fairview Park Car Park Parking Order. We'll now consider the report of the Director of Assets and Investments outlining the proposals to review the Council's parking arrangements at Fairview Car Park and to consider enforcement measures to address inappropriate parking on the site. Mr. Anderson, Ms. Barnes, is there anything you want to add to the report?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. So yes, before you is a report regarding Fairview Park car park in Rayleigh. As was mentioned earlier in the meeting, following the initial meeting of the Parking Task and Finish Group, members requested that a report come before the committee recommending that a parking order be placed on Fairview Park car park to address some issues that are being presented from inappropriate car parking. The report before you explains the background to that and highlights in recommendations 1, 2 and 3. I do apologise, I've seen that R2 is mentioned twice. It should be R1, R2, R3, to move forward with a parking order for the site to permit future enforcement should the council and members wish to do so, and that we also look to widen it to introduce a district-wide off-street parking order and amalgamate the existing ones that we have into a single parking order. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Councillor Linden.
Sorry, during your consultation, the knock-on effect from taking cars off one street and moving onto another street and onto another street, have we fully evaluated? Because I've noticed, and also my residents have noticed, that suddenly cars are parking in their street which weren't there before. So suddenly we've helped one street and then the next street's got a problem. We help that street and then the next street's got a problem. So have we taken an overall view on the parking issues with off-street parking in the area?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, it has been raised by the Parking Task and Finish Group, and we are mindful of that. As I said, this is about introducing the order on the site so that we have the tools ready should we wish to enforce. Doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to enforce. I would also just highlight, as it shows in the report, it is not a quick process to introduce a parking order. It is circa 35 weeks to do it. So during that time, we would be engaging with the local schools and also SEP to discuss the issues of both the parking on site and the issues that that could potentially create on the surrounding streets.
Thank you. Councillor Webb.
Thank you, Chair. So yes, at the Parking Task and Finish Group, we had a very robust discussion around what enforcement could take place and what was appropriate. We didn't come to a conclusion, but we did discuss the very issue that you raised, which was if the Fairview Park car park then with some sort of permit system was needed, for example, then there will be a displacement of the vehicles using that car park, which would affect the surrounding roads. So we felt that although this report was necessary in terms of bringing about the potential for future enforcement, what that would look like, how that would work out in reality, as a working group, we felt needed a lot more work.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman. I've got a bit of concern over the traffic order in the first place, because I think there's something like 40 spaces in that car park. If I understand it properly, people will be able to park there for 3 hours but not return for 4. So effectively you get people who can park there in the morning and people who can park in the afternoon, but the other half has got to find somewhere else to go. And what worries me, I understand the point you're making, Mr. Anderson, but what worries me is we're putting the mechanism in place preparatory to being able to prosecute. And I think that's just a worrying way to go. There must be other ways of controlling parking in this particular example that doesn't involve the threat of prosecution, which is really what you're saying. Because I just think it's the wrong way to approach the way we look after residents. The same applies to any other traffic parking order. We should not be looking to put legislation in place to prosecute somebody. We should be encouraging them to do it properly in the first place. Thank you.
Councillor Sutton's going to respond to that.
I think what we was discussing was people taking responsibility for their parking, so giving them a more reduced rate of like a season ticket parking. We're not saying like full price or pushing people out to the street, but if you're going to park there, if you're a commuter or a student, then whilst the car park is taking some degrading, we feel that there needs to be some sort of least compensation for that, but at a reduced rate.
Councillor Linden.
So that particular car park, if I'm not mistaken, the parking has only become an issue as more teachers, more students have started parking because of the sixth form in Fitzwymark. And that is, from what I understand, potential developments over the next few years, if they happen, because during the RAC we found out the school sort of like was in need of potential upgrading, but all we're doing is actually turning around to the local people who are using the park, using the leisure facilities within the park, and literally moving and saying to them they can't park there any longer. But what we really should be addressing is the fact that it's actually the school that's causing the problem in the first place. So what have we actually done with the school to actually address that problem?
We haven't done anything yet, but we are looking to have conversations with them about that.
Thank you. Just so people are aware, Councillor Sutton does chair the working group, or is part of the working group, which is why he's answering the questions rather than me. Any other questions? No other questions. Members, I will now move a motion that recommends that the recommendations R1, R2 and R3, as on page 8.2 of the report, be approved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Carter is seconding that. Members, we will now vote on the recommendations. Are you happy to take these on block? There's a nod of approval and no shakes of heads. 1, to approve and instruct officers to progress the implementation of a new parking order to cover Fairview Park car park to regularise parking conditions and permit future enforcement. 2, that officers engage with tenanted users of the park and the local primary and secondary schools to establish a workable process to ensure the off-street parking order does not unduly impact their operation or business. 3, that as part of the establishment of the new off-street parking order, that the scope is widened and that the 3 existing off-street parking orders are amalgamated into a single new district-wide off-street parking order encompassing all council car parks which are currently served by different orders. All those in favour? That's unanimous, members. So that is carried unanimously. This concludes our business for this evening. Thank you for your attendance, and I declare the meeting now closed at 19:59. Thank you. Under half an hour.